What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for the Dana White's Contender Series Week 9. As you guys know, I am making my Contender Series debut here for the predictions. I never really had time to do it, but I'm now going to be making time. I'm now going to be putting it as a priority to get it done. Put in some extra work on a Monday, try to get it out every Tuesday morning for you guys there. So if you guys can hit the like button, it helps out a ton. Subscribe if you have not yet. If you guys do want to support me more, you can sign up on the Patreon. We are 3 members away from 200, which is amazing. That's a huge milestone. It really helps me do this full time. It helps me put in the extra work. So thank you guys so much for the support. All the donations, cannot thank you enough. It really does help it a lot. So with that said, we're going to get into it here. Decent card. It really is a decent card. A lot of these fights are going to be close, a couple of them. And, it should be some good fights. So let's get into it here, starting with the first fight of the night. And we do have Danny Sabatello versus Taylor Moore. It is a bantamweight fight, 135 pounds. And Sabatello, he is 27 years old, 5'10". He is 8-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. He does train at American Top Team. And he was knocked out by Irwin Rivera in his only loss. Irwin Rivera is in the UFC. I'm not high on the guy, but a lot of people really do like Irwin Rivera. I don't know what it is, but a lot of people do like him. And he has finished 7 out of his 8 wins. 3 of Sabatello's wins coming by knockout and 4 of them coming by submission. And what I like about him, he is really relentless with the takedowns. Really solid wrestling, decent leg kicks. His ground game looks really solid as well. Able to advance position nicely. Good top control, really heavy on top. Stays out of trouble when he's on top as well. He was able to take the back of his last opponent, find the rear naked choke. His cardio looks on point, can wrestle into the 3rd round, something you really like to see from these wrestlers. He was able to take down a UFC fighter, Irwin Rivera, multiple times. In that fight, I thought he won the first 2 rounds. I thought round 3 was close. Ended up getting finished in the 4th round. He took his back like a couple points in that fight as well. So very impressive performance all the way up until he kind of slowed down in that 4th round. Rivera landed a really nice body shot, put him down. But, pretty impressive performance nonetheless from Sabatello. And Taylor Moore, he is 27 years old. He is 5'10". He is 10-4. 3-2 in his last 5 fights. He's lost by decision 3 times. He was knocked out once in 2016. He's finished half his wins by knockout, 2 submission wins as well. It's pretty close, but I think he has faced a little bit of the better competition between the two. Throws a ton of kicks, which would not be ideal in this fight. Solid wrestler himself, a little bit sloppy on top, and doesn't really do much when he's on top as well. He was reversed in his last fight by some pretty questionable competition, you could say. Pretty much just gives up the takedown, and he is content to work off his back, which is not ideal in this fight whatsoever. He was taken down in his last fight like 5 times, but was able to find a triangle choke in the 3rd round, which I don't really think that's going to work here. He only has 1 submission in his 10 pro wins, which again, not a good sign here in a fight that he's probably going to be off his back. And I think the striking is actually close in this fight, but I do favor Sabatello. I got to favor Sabatello pretty much everywhere this fight goes. And outside of Moore, like finding something off his back, which I don't think is all that likely, I have Sabatello getting it done. And pretty much for me, I think this is pretty much a sub or bust for Moore in this spot. And I don't think that sub is all that likely. So I'm going to go Sabatello, 3rd round finish here, 3rd round submission. And taking a look at the odds here, and he's a big favorite, minus 610. Opened up minus 45. I mean, I get why. Could be a little bit wide. But I do really like this matchup for him. He should definitely get this done. Would I parlay it at minus 610? Probably not. That's really wide there, but I do think he deserves to be a decent-sized favorite here. All right, getting into the next fight. This fight's actually really interesting. Luana Pinero versus Stephanie Frosto. Strawweight fight, 115 pounds here. And Pinero, she is 26 years old, 5'4", 7-1, and 5-1 in her last 5 fights. Her last loss was a split decision loss in 2016. And she's aggressive. She's finished 5 of her 7 wins. 5 wins by submission. She's very strong. She's going to be the bigger fighter here. Pretty solid takedowns. Good takedowns from the clinch as well is something I really noticed. She was able to take her opponent down and get into mount, transition to the back, and finish her last fight. She's always searching for the submission, very aggressive on the mat, something you'd like to see there. Her striking is really unimpressive, honestly. Throws her hands to close distance mostly, just to clinch up, get the fight to the mat. Not much volume as well. And she really struggles if she's not able to bully her opponent. If she's not the bigger fighter in there, she's going to struggle. But in this fight, she's going to be the bigger fighter, especially looking at the face-off. She looks like the much bigger fighter in this matchup, which definitely does favor her. And Stephanie Frost, though, she is 30 years old, 5'2", 60-inch reach. She's 8-6, 4-1 in her last 5 fights. She has been submitted twice and finished by strikes twice as well. So finished in 4 of her 6 losses, and she has finished 7 of her 8 wins though. 4 by strikes, 3 by submission. Her striking's okay. I actually do think she has probably a better striking here. Her pretty high volume. She is hittable, but she is very open to counters. She's very open to counters, very hittable as well. She was dropped a few fights ago also by some low-level competition. Looks pretty strong against the cage. Decent takedown defense as well, but she doesn't go for takedowns herself. But she can be taken down, and when she is taken down, she's very active off her back. Decent submission game off her back. She was able to get a nice arm bar in one of her fights. I think the physicality and size of Pinero will be too much here for Frosto. Especially after watching the weigh-ins. I think she is going to be able to bully her a little bit, take her down, probably even find a submission, grind her out. Frosto does slow down as the fight goes on. She does get tired. And I'm going to say she gets a first-round submission here. Taking a look at the odds here for Pinero, and I'm actually really surprised that she is minus 365, especially in women's MMA. I don't think she really deserves that minus 365 price tag. I understand she's going to be the much bigger fighter. I understand she can probably get this to the mat, but minus 365 just seems a little bit too wide for me. I definitely stay away from this fight from a betting perspective, but she is going to be the pick. I'm going to pick her to win by submission there. Next fight, we have a very fun fight here. And we have I think I skipped it, but we'll go with this one. Natan Levy versus Shaheen Santana, and this is going to be a catchweight fight, 160 pounds. And Shaheen Santana, 29 years old, undefeated, obviously 6-0, undefeated amateur record as well, and he has fought at lightweight pretty much his whole career, and previously was supposed to fight Landon Quinones. So this is a short notice replacement, as in Levy, and he has won 5 of his 6 wins by submission. And he really looks huge for this weight class. He really does. But his takedown defense is very questionable. Questionable striking as well. But his submission game is really slick on the mat, and really questionable competition as well. And honestly, I wasn't all that impressed with the guy from what I saw. Wasn't able to watch much though. There was only like 3 or 4 fights on him. But from what I saw, very unimpressed. But his submission game looks solid. And Natan Levy, 29 years old, 5'9", 72-inch reach, coming in on short notice, which I think is going to be a pretty big factor here. And another big factor is he usually fights at 145, and this fight is at 160. So he's going to be coming up a weight class. He has really good takedowns, solid top control. I did see him dropped bad his last fight, but he did come back to win a decision there. And he looks so much smaller at face-offs. Like, there is a big size discrepancy at face-offs. And, I'd honestly probably pick him if this was his correct weight class, if he was not coming in on short notice. I think he is the more skilled fighter, honestly, but he's going to be coming in at a decent size advantage, decent physical disadvantage as well, which could probably hurt him in a fight here that's going to most likely be on the mat a lot. And, Santana looks huge. He looks absolutely huge. And I'm going to go with Santana here. I'm going to say he gets a submission. Probably, I'm going to say second round submission. Am I confident in it? Not really, but, Levy coming in short notice, up a weight class, the much smaller fighter, and a fight that's, going to involve a bunch of, wrestling, takedowns, all that stuff. I'm gonna slightly favor Santana here. Taking a look at the odds, Santana is actually an underdog, which kind of surprises me there, plus 100. Levy is minus 130, and I guess it kind of makes sense. I think Levy's the better fighter skill-wise, but in a fight that's going to be on the mat, I do got to favor the bigger fighter here slightly, so give me Santana for the win. All right, this is the fight I skipped, but it's whatever. We'll come back to it here. And Joseph Lowry versus Nicholas Mota. And Lowry, he is 30 years old, 5'10", 72-inch reach, 9-1, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. His only loss being to Devontae Smith, and it was actually on the Contender Series in 2018. And he has won 5 of his fights by KO TKO and has a submission win as well. He does come forward. He throws with bad intentions. He does pack some power. He's definitely not afraid to be hit. And he looked okay, actually, against Devontae Smith until Smith knocked him out with some nice elbows while, Lowry was trying to go for a takedown. And I did see him get a couple takedowns, but didn't really see anything special from him on the mat. And Nicholas Mota, 27 years old, 5'9", 11-3, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So he has been finished in all of his losses. He was knocked out twice and subbed once. Also subbed on The Ultimate Fighter Brazil in 2015, which I don't think we're going to have to worry about him getting submitted here in this fight. And he has finished 8 of his wins by KO TKO, no wins by submission. So he does fight at a lot slower pace in this fight than a Lowry, but he does pack a lot of power, very technical, good head kicks, good counters. He targets the body very well. He rushes in with punches at times, though, and does leave himself exposed. He did show some really solid takedown defense and a really good get-up game, but I don't see this one hitting the mat. I see this one, standing and banging. I see them standing and banging with each other until one man falls. I do think he's going to be the more defensively sound fighter. Like I said, I do think they're going to be striking most of this fight. I really don't see it touching the mat. The chin of Mota really does concern me. But in this fight, I really do believe he is the better fighter. And I know he's been knocked out twice, but still, I do think he's the better fighter in this fight. I'm going to go with Nicholas Mota to win. I'm going to say by knockout. I think they're both going to stand in the middle and bang until one man falls. I think Mota's the more, defensively sound. I think he packs a ton of power. And, Devontae Smith knocked out Lowry. I know that Devontae Smith is a decent fighter, but I'm going to say Mota gets it done inside the distance by a knockout here. And taking a look at the line, Nicholas Mota is -185 and Lowry is +155. I actually don't mind that. Maybe take a look at the inside the distance, or Mota wins inside the distance, or Mota wins by knockout prop. Maybe you'll get close to plus money here. I really don't see this fight finishing here. I really don't see this fight going to the judges' scorecards here. This should definitely finish. So, give me Mota to win by knockout. Should be a really fun fight there. All right, and then now it is time for the main event. And this fight is really hard for a lot of reasons. It's hard to pronounce, and it's hard to predict here. Mariusz, Kazakowicz, we'll call it that. I'm probably way off, but it almost looks impossible to pronounce here. So bear with me. Versus Mario Souza. And, because we'll call him Mariusz. Mariusz, he's 6 foot, 31 years old. He is undefeated, 8-0. He's finished 7 out of his 8 wins. Has finished 5 out of his 8 wins by submission. He wasn't knocked out as an amateur in 2010, so he's been fighting for a while. Black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Long and rangy. Looks very long and rangy on tape. Looks to get the fight to the mat as well. His wrestling looks okay. He can be taken down, though. His ground game looks solid. Able to advance position really nicely. Good ground and pound when he is on top. I saw him to get into full mount in one of his fights. Finish his opponent. Great gas tank as well. Going to have the better gas tank in this fight for sure. Souza is someone that does slow down. He has been put in some bad spots on the mat. Almost submitted a couple times, but was able to fight out of it. Really good submission defense. And Mario Souza, he is 24 years old, 5'10", 11-1, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. His one loss, I believe, was by a decision. And he's finished all 11 of his wins. 7 by KO TKO, 4 submission wins as well. And he's very young. He has not fought in over a year, so I probably do expect some improvements from the dude. And his last win was over a 1-1 guy. Very dangerous anywhere the fight goes. They're a very dangerous striker, pretty good power, but he's not very technical. And when he is on his back, he's very active. He attacks with submissions and strikes. But the problem is he's really content to be off his back, and his takedown defense is very questionable. Very questionable. But he has great subs off his back, but I'm not sure that'll work here in this fight against a black belt and Mariusz. Not really sure that'll work, because in a lot of his fights, pretty much every fight I watched, this dude was on his back for a lot of the fight, and that's really not a good look. If you're not able to get the submission, and Mariusz has pretty good top control, he's able to stay out of trouble, really good ground and pound. I don't think it's a really good game plan to have a black belt on top of you. So I don't really like seeing that from Souza with him being on the mat a ton of times. He gets taken down very easily. He kind of lets the takedown happen, pulls guard at times as well, which is something you don't want to see, especially in this fight. And I don't know. I'm going to go with Marios to get it done here. I mean, I think he's going to get takedowns. I think Souza's going to invite the takedowns. And I'm going to say Marios just stays safe and grinds him out a little bit and finishes him in the third round, gets him tired and finds a sub there and submits Souza. But this fight's really close. I mean, could Souza sub him off his back? Yeah, maybe. If this stays standing, could Souza knock him out? Maybe. The striking's pretty close. Probably say that the more dangerous striker is Souza, but I think the more technical fighter on the feet is Marius. And I don't know, I'm going to go with Marius to win here. Get some takedowns, stay out of trouble. As long as he doesn't get submitted, I think he's going to win this fight. Like Souza has never won a decision. He's never won a decision, so he's going to have to finish Marius. And can he do it? He could, but I'm more towards leaning the Marius side here. So we'll take a look at the odds. Very curious here. And Souza is the favorite. So he opened up -145. The line did close down a little bit. He's now at -125, and Marios is at -105 here. I'm not surprised. I can definitely understand why he's a slight favorite. I do think this should be around a pick 'em, so I'm not mad at the line at all. But I am going to go with Marios to get it done. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correct, but you guys know what I mean there. So to go over the picks here. Marios, I'm not going to say the last name. Going to go with Shaheen Santana. Going to go with Nicholas Mota. Going to go with Luana Pinero. And going to go with Danny Sabatello. Not really sure if I'm going to have any bets as of yet. I do want to look at some props. I do want to look at some over-unders if they do come out. Some fight does not go to decision lines. But yeah, I might place a bet. Check my Twitter, DFS_numbers, Instagram, DFS by the numbers. If I do have some action, I'll get it out on Patreon and most likely Twitter, maybe Instagram as well. So that's about it, guys. If this helped out in any way, please leave a like, subscribe if you have not yet. Would really appreciate that a ton. It really helps me out. And I did put, a massive amount of hours into this. So any like, subscribe, it all helps out a ton. And hopefully make a good Contender Series debut here. I believe I picked a couple underdogs as well. Santana's an underdog. Marius is a slight dog as well. So a couple underdogs here, a couple big favorites. But let's get it done. And good luck on the Dana White Contender Series on Tuesday here.